Where were you born and what year?
I was born in Germany. The town was Marienau in September 25th, 1936.
What do you remember about your home?
Well, I went to school in Hanover, and I remember especially after the war. I went to school there in fifth, sixth uh, grade, and my mother worked a lot, so my brother and I were kind of on our own, and we we usually there was a zoo nearby, and we usually went to the zoo. We had a yearly pass, and that's what I remember mostly about Hanover.
Would you say that you had a happy childhood?
Yes, in the beginning, as far as I know, I had a happy childhood. And after the war, when the Allies started bombing, we were sent out of the city. My mother had to stay in the city to work, but we were sent out of the city to a small village, and I'm not sure if it was her decision or Hitler wanted to preserve the youth. So he had the youth sent out of the city and to smaller villages where there was no bombing.
Can you tell us a little bit about your parents?
Well, my mother got divorced when we were little, so I don't remember my biological father. But my mother was a very good mother, and she took really good care of us, although she had to work all the time.
Can you tell us a little bit about your stepdad?
She married him. He was a German American, and she married him. He was a good man. He never had any children, so he didn't really know what to do with children. But he was a good man, and he was good to her, and he was good to us too.
Is it true that your mother babysat royal children in Sweden?
Yeah, she was in her youth. She was a kindergarten teacher, and when she got a chance to go to Sweden and take care of the royal family in Sweden, she did that. And there was some pictures of the royal family too. That's about all I know about that. But she was very adventurous. She went in her youth. She went everywhere, and that's one of the things she did.
What do you remember about your grandparents?
Well, I only remember my grandmother. Uh, she had been to England too, and I wish I knew why she went to England. I don't know, but so she knew English, and when she come back, and when she found out that we were going to the United States, she wanted to teach my brother and I English, but us being German, we wanted no part of it. So, and I wish now, that we had of, because it was very hard coming over here and not knowing any English.
Can you tell us about the time that you had to evacuate and live with your grandmother?
Um, when the Allies started bombing the big city, uh, we were there at Easter time when my mother decided to bring us from the small village where we were to the city for Easter, and they started bombing, and we went to a bunker, and we could hear the bombs flying all over the place, or the noise of them. And when we got back to our house, it was there, but the window had blown out, and we had to leave my grandmother in bed because she couldn't get out and go with us. Part of the bed was blown off, the wood from the glass in the window, but she was fine.
What are some of your most vivid memories as a child during World War II? Was there like a large lack of food at that time?
Well, one of the things we didn't have much meat, uh, maybe on Sundays, but I do remember we somewhere we got a pet rabbit, and we had it on our balcony, and then it was it was gone. So we asked our mother what happened to it, and she said, well, one of the workmen from where she worked came, and in other words, we had to eat it for food.
Can you talk about being away from your parents during this time? How that was?
Yes, since we were sent to a small village, and my brother lived with a farmer, and I lived with a widow, and it was strangers. My mother had to stay in the city and work, so it was very hard being away from our mother and being with strangers, and especially in the school. We went to school there. I don't know why, but somehow the teachers they were not very nice to us. Maybe because we were from out of town. I don't know. But I remember the teachers just weren't nice to us.
And also, the soldier bubblegum story?
Well, we were in the when the Allies came to this village. They just walked through. Well, they came, marched through, whatever, and we were children. We were really curious about the Americans. They were Americans, you know. And this one man came over and gave us children bubble gum. We didn't know what it was. And he was a black man. Of course, we had never seen a black man before. So we were curious about that too. But he was very nice to us, especially with his bubble gum. There was no bubble gum in Germany. So we really appreciate him paying attention to the children.
Well, when did you arrive in America?
We arrived in the United States in 1950, January 1950.
What had you heard about America before you got here?
Well, I just heard that it was the land of milk and honey. You know, it was great over here and everything was fine, and I don't know, somehow that's the information I got from maybe in school.
What was the first city that you arrived in America?
Well, we lived for just a day or two in New Jersey. We landed in New York City, the ship. It was SS United States, no. Washington, SS Washington, that's what it was. And it took 10 days for us to cross the ocean. And we lived in just a few days with friends in New Jersey. And then my stepfather had a house in upstate New York, and then we lived up there for a while. And that's where I went to school, the 7th and 8th grade.
Was it hard to learn the language?
Yes, it was. Remember, being a child, I didn't want to learn English before, so after 2 weeks here, they put me in the school, and I couldn't understand anything anybody was saying. I was very upset, always coming home saying, I don't understand them and I don't want to go to school. But they would give me an English sentence and I would go back like, I don't understand what you're saying, or something like that. And gradually, you know, I learned English like that. And it probably took about a year. And but it was hard, but I learned it.
Well, when did you join the Navy?
Well, when I was in high school, and well, most of the time we spent upstate New York. The only job you could get was with a phone company. So one of the girls in high school said she was going to join the Navy. So that sounded pretty good to me. So I said, well, I'm going to do that. So, and I did. We found a recruiter, and I joined the Navy that way.
And how old were you when you joined?
Well, I was out of high school, so 18.
How did you meet your husband?
Well, when I came to Pensacola, I was stationed, they sent me to Pensacola. First I went to boot camp in Bainbridge, Maryland, and then I got orders to Pensacola, Florida, and to Corey Field, and the only thing they had me do was a watch in the barracks. And my husband used to call the barracks at night, and we would just talk. And gradually we met, and that's after 6 months we got married.
How many children did you have?
2, a boy and a girl.
What is your favorite book or some of your favorite hobbies right
Well,
now?
I like walking. I joined a walking club, and I traveled all over the United States. We would fly to a city and then do 10Ks. It was an organization, and I really liked that. And so I've been in 38 states, and I was hoping to make all 50, but I didn't make it. And right now I also like to crochet, and I like to knit, and I belong to a crochet ministry of that crochets shawls for anybody that is sick or needs a shawl, and we crochet those and we give those away, and I like doing that.
Now, how did you start volunteering at the USO?
Well, one time on television I saw where USO needed some volunteers, and I said, well, I can do that. And especially I really liked the Navy when I was in it and with my husband. So I said I can join the USO and volunteer there and help the military that way.
And how long have you been doing it?
Since 2010.
Growing up in a different country and overcoming so many adversities, what advice would you give to young people for this generation?
Well, I like to tell young people if they have something that they're interested in and are not sure about it, I would say take a risk. Even if it doesn't work out, if it works out, it's great. But even if it doesn't work out, you learn from your mistakes and go to the next passion that you have.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.